Charles Thompson was the international representative appointed by a black man here in America. Now you say, why are you saying black man? It's okay. It's a colloquial term. Aboriginal chief. His name was Tidishong. And he and 12 other chiefs created what we now know today as the Continental Congress. They created the Continental Congress in the year 1758. That is 16 years before you are historically taught that the Continental Congress was formed. The Continental Congress was not formed in 1774. It was formed in 1758. Tidishong appointed Charles Thompson to a position that he was never removed from, never voted on by anybody inside of U.S. jurisdiction. Who appointed America's first officer of government? First officer of government. The first officer of government for the United States of America was an appointing of Charles Thompson, who wrote in the journals of the Continental Congress all of the information and kept the information at the will and appointing by Tidishong, who was the chief of the tribe that we now call the Shi, who were mistakenly called the Powhatan, who were afterwards mistakenly called the Delaware. You have not been taught in any political science class, in any law class, in any history class, that the first officer of federal government, meaning the group coming together, the group of colonies, all right, was appointed by someone who was indigenous. There was no vote to get Charles Thompson to be the Secretary of Continental Congress, to have him put in that position. And he is the most important figure of the 1700s in regards to history, political science, and law in United States history. And this is important because Tidishong was of the lineage of Chief Tammany. Chief Tammany was the black chief who met with William Penn in 1683 and formed what we know of as Philadelphia, which became what? The capital of this nation, where the Declaration and the Constitution were written. And Chief Tammany was of the lineage of Powhatan. Tell me how Powhatan, whose first encounter with Europeans said he had approximately 200 other Indians with him who are as black as the devil. That's their description of him. Powhatan, the chief, with 200 other Indians with him who are black as the devil. Where are those black as the devil Indians right now? They are damn sure not on any reservations. They're not on any reservations. So we have the name Powhatan coming from Mexico. Not only do we have that, in 1758, I need you to get these facts. When the tribute was paid to 13 chiefs, it was paid in money from Mexico City. It wasn't paid in money from Great Britain. It wasn't paid in gold from the colonists. What I'm about to unload to you, you have never heard. Okay, so now we following the lineage. The word Powhatan is a glyph in the She language, so-called Mayan. It shows up in Virginia, and there's a chief named Powhatan. And there's a ceremony. When you say powwow, it's really from powwow. Powwow is a ceremony. It's the solstice and equinox ceremony. It's not the name of the tribe. And then the Powhatan get invaded by the British, and there's a general named Delaware who tries to impose this name Delaware on them. They were never Delaware. T.D. Shung was black. Chief Tammany was black. Chief Powhatan was black. And we know the Mayans were black. Literally, with locks. Chief Tammany met with William Penn, and they created something called Philadelphia. It was a little village. If you've ever been to Philadelphia, the jurisdiction of Philadelphia at the time that William Penn was conferred this land by the She, misnomered Powhatan or Delaware, was between Franklin Square, Washington Square, Rittenhouse Square, and Logan Square. That was the jurisdiction. So we have in our minds that they took over all this land. They didn't. They had little villages, and they were interacting with a whole group of people. So by the time you get T.D. Shung, who is Chief Tammany's grandson, T.D. Shung appoints Charles Thompson, right, to be the secretary for the Continental Congress. That's a fact. Charles Thompson starts a group called the Sons of Saint Tammany, also known as the Sons of Liberty. These were the people who worked with the Aboriginals to form their governing societies. Sons of Saint Tammany, Sons of Liberty. Charles Thompson started it. He was the head, and then other people came in. Now, you remember me saying that Benjamin Franklin stole the identity of Benjamin Banneker, and his name was not Benjamin Franklin. We gave you all of his other names. I wrote a whole book on that. The whole presentations on that. Because when you see this flag, I'm going to reveal some things to you, and I'm going to prove my point with empirical evidence. So now where are we? We're at the meeting of 13 indigenous jurisdictions, 1758, in a place now that's now called Eastern Pennsylvania. And these 13 indigenous jurisdictions who are in a confederation come together, appoint Charles Thompson, and say, look, this is what it's about to be interacting with you little villages. This is what it's about to be. You cannot come past the Appalachian Mountains because you're sipping over into our jurisdiction. We had to kidnap some of your people. We're holding them in these indigenous jails, and we coming to you to sit you down. That's what happened in 1758. And this was the start of what we call the Grand Council Fire or Continental Congress. Continental Congress was started. See this flag with 13 stars in a circle in blue. This red, white, and blue is from Mexico. The red, white, and blue are a part of standards that were amongst indigenous people. We got all of the photos to prove and everything. We already put them in books and PowerPoints and lectures. This red, white, and blue right here is ancient. Am I trying to get you to worship the American flag? No. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to show you they stole all of these concepts, and they are encrypted and coded in Masonic lore, hidden in political science, and hidden in history. This circle of 13 represents those initial 13 indigenous jurisdictions who did something important. They gave Charles Thompson and all the other groups of white people the ability to expatriate from Great Britain. Charles Thompson was given a name. I put the name in my book. I ain't even gonna say what it was. John Hancock was given an indigenous name. They went through ceremony to become citizens of indigenous jurisdictions. This is why the Declaration of Independence in the original document is lost. They don't want you to know that on July 2nd, 1776, the only signatures that could legally go on this document were 2. Now this is going to review your whole idea of slavery. Because I'm telling you that what happened was genocide and denationalization. It was not slavery. You have to stop saying you had ancestors that were slaves and start saying your ancestors' jurisdictions were toppled and they went through genocide. Those are the legal terms that put you in the framework to move towards remedy, to give you the understanding of what the remedy should be. So, this circle of 13, this 13 in red and white stars, right? These represent 3 houses of masonry. I am not a mason, but I know what these colors represent. They represent entered apprentice, the second house, then the Blue Lodge. Entered apprentice, fellow craft, and master mason. And in order to be a master mason, you had to be initiated into this history. The history of what does this 13, 13, 13, 13 represent? Why, when I pull out this dollar, listen, I don't teach this history like these cybermoors. I have to be very careful because I have a lot of people, and I've been doing this a long time, who try to make this what it's not. Go through all of them. All this, 13 olive branches, 13 arrows, 13 steps to the pyramid. Pyramid? All you have to do is go watch the movie National Treasure and it gives it all up. The movie Hancock, it gives it all up. This 13 represents the initial 13 indigenous jurisdictions who had a confederation, and they were black people. With hair like mine, genetics like some of them like mine. And so they no longer exist in those jurisdictions. How did they lose it and what happened? And why was July 4th chosen when July 2nd was the date that the documents were signed? July 4th was chosen because our people always leave a paper trail. We had some really smart people.